Pecha Kucha 113, MiracleMan, and Stigmata 3. So MiracleMan is a reimagining of some old comic by Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham, and Stigmata 3 is just what it's like my third batch of the collaborative comic I'm currently working on. It's just a working title. So starting with the comic, a new character's been introduced, Agent Carmine, a chain-smoking badass motherfucker in a duster. Maybe I've played Metal Gear Solid and maybe I've taken some inspiration from that. I couldn't possibly say. But she's basically come along to, I don't know what the term is for like being the person that has all the fucking answers to all the plot points, because like we've got too many plot points and she just has to come along and make like the narrative go forward. So she basically spends her panel saying, yeah, this is my favorite one of the batch, where she goes and meets Hellboy and shit. Real smooth. All the stuff that's happened is some kind of evil magic monster that's trying to bring about the rapture, and yeah, that's basically it. I took like 15 pages of stuff that didn't quite fit and forced it to fit, and then now it's like this whole. It's turned almost into like a Hollywood thriller thing where like now the characters just have to solve the problem and go find the bad guy and sort out the bad guy. I messed around a lot with weird color things and stuff. It was I wasn't really into it, but I kind of found my groove. I got some stuff out and yeah, a little ocelot pose because, well, you know me. Yeah, so I did some more logo work. I started on paper, but I couldn't be bothered to scan it. It was just a pain in the ass, too big. It was to designer Icon E, and I went through some weird stuff, put some stuff together in Manga Studio. Some of the stuff clearly doesn't work. Some of it is a bit more palatable. And then I went to Illustrator because I just couldn't do anything in Illustrator without having something to trace. Illustrator is just a pain in my balls. I think the top row and the bottom row are credible. The rest is just stuff, just so I had enough samples to show the guy. He did not like the stuff. He sent me something very basic, super basic, and I extrapolated that and then made another set of extremely similar to the thing and to each other E's. He wasn't happy with any of those. And then the graphic designer guy put me in touch with him, said do something that effectively equated to this, and he was happy with this. God only knows why. That said, he still hasn't paid for it today. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's part of graphic design. Sometimes you deal with people who are just not people you want to deal with. I don't know. I've technically never met the guy. So MiracleMan is like, I have no idea of the context of this time-wise, but it's like Neil Gaiman doing what he does, taking a superhero and imagining him as a deity. So the premise here is that MiracleMan has basically conquered the world and made it good. And it's like everything is like a collection of short stories showing how life has changed. And it starts with a synopsis of, like, I guess you would say the previous narrative up to this point, which is... I don't know, it's typical 1960s comic book fare. Honestly, I'm none the wiser for reading it. Where this book really shines is Mark Buckingham's art, which is every story has a different art style. He's a, and this guy's an artist as well as a comic book artist, and that's always great to see. There are so many different styles. Like in the first story where like dudes go on a pilgrimage up this massive pyramid to meet MiracleMan at the top, and he does play the role of the god here. You can see that some of the artwork's quite draftsman like, unapologetically so, and that's quite refreshing. But only if you're okay with that kind of thing. There's a story involving the resurrection of no less than 13 Andy Warhols. And it's drawn entirely with like coloured chalks. It's, well, not entirely because that T-shirt looks like it is. Maybe it is, but it's got a really nice, cool, vibrant style. It's a good story as well. There's this kind of teenagers who've like turned the main bad guy of the plot who got killed, some guy called Bates. They've turned him into like a fashion statement to dress like him, wearing all black like goths. Uh, they know that if the guy came back, he'd kill them, but they still do what they do. It's an interesting take on teenagers doing what teenagers doing just to defy their parents. There's a story about a woman who's a spy in a city, and it's kind of drawn in this hyper realistic but kind of grainy style. Uh, the woman thinks everything is like a sign and to have a countersign, and she's going super paranoid. Very interesting story. There's a children's book story in here where some 3-year-old with godlike powers basically travels the universe just because, and her name is Winter. And it's I don't know, it's like a Dr. Seuss story. It's just a string of her doing impossible things and no one is surprised. Entertaining. And then there's a carnival where a lot of the characters from the other stories kind of half cross paths. And then there's this like psychedelic crazy lady that can predict the future or something, talking nonsense. I don't know. It is what it is. And sad clown of the week is me, because while I was on the Google looking for something to represent a sad clown of the week, my internet went down. So I don't fucking know when this is going up. But there you go. That brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 113, and I'll see you next time.